Hi, I'm Max.
Hi, I'm Denise.
And welcome back to another edition of Urban Lifestyles. We have got a great show planned for you today. Not only today, but for the next couple of weeks, because we're going to be covering Derby. And something we're teasing for the second show, we're going to be talking about hats, bow ties, and bourbons, part 2, and it's sponsored by Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity. So can't wait to talk about that in our next show.
And there are other things coming in the next show, too, for Derby related.
And one thing that we're talking about in this show, of course, is what? An interview that we did with Maxine Waters.
Yes.
We also attended an event that was put on by the Urban League, a piece we did with LG&E, and what's the last segment?
The 100 Black Men.
And the 100 Black Men. We'll take a quick break and back with more right after this.
Working hard when the weather is good.
And even harder when it's not.
With online updates to keep you safe and informed during a storm.
Programs to save you energy and money.
And new projects to help us provide cleaner, more reliable energy.
We're more than an energy company.
We are LG&E.
We're LG&E.
We are LG&E.
Our energies go to...
As you know, there's a new museum that's coming to... Well, you know, we kicked off Derby this year with the Urban League, as we have been for the past few years, with a super event. So take a look at this.
The Urban League event has a visionary, and that visionary is Sadiqa Reynolds. Sadiqa, congratulations on another fabulous event.
Thank you so much. I'm excited.
I can't believe this is year number
3. This is year number 3. What do we have? Anthony Hamilton, and then Charlie Wilson, and now this year Babyface. So it's on and popping.
When you had this vision, could you imagine that you would be where you are right now at year 3?
Absolutely. I imagined it. I knew that really African American people in this community were dying for something else to do for Derby, and obviously Junior and his family, they have the trifecta, which is amazing. We actually started over again he started over around the same time we did, and so it's perfect. Now we've got a whole week of activity, and it's just wonderful, and it's such a diverse group of people. I absolutely love this event. I love this event, and it is exactly what I imagined it would be.
What I like about the event is it reaches to all persons at all economic levels.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, we have to remember that we're here doing this work for those who need to have a voice at the table. That's the first part of it. But beyond that, I mean, there are lots of different types of people in that room: white, black, very wealthy, not so much. So every kind of person, every person in this community is represented here.
So I had the surprising pleasure to interview 2 gentlemen who are working on the track.
Yeah.
And he said an adjective to me, and in regards to giving you props, and their adjective was, under your leadership, transformative.
I appreciate that. I don't know who was that, Eric Brown?
Yes, from Cincinnati.
Absolutely. He is really an amazing leader himself. I think that project is going to help transform the West End. If you think about it, there's really not another project where anybody is building something that will bring people in with disposable income. So 20 to 30,000 people coming into our community with disposable income is going to be pretty amazing. So I'm really excited about it, really excited.
Still covering all the Derby festivities, we're here at the Louisville Urban League's Gala. I have our esteemed mayor, Mayor Greg Fisher. Welcome and happy Derby.
Well, it's that time of the year. Happy Derby.
I know you're going to have a lot of stops to make, and I don't know where this fits on your schedule, but just real quick, some of your ideas about seeing this gala growing and what it means to raise the funds for the Urban League and the city. What does all that mean for you?
Well, it's been amazing to see how fast this gala has grown, which I think people understand how important a strong Urban League is to the city. A lot of excitement around jobs, around justice, the new track and learning facility as well. That'll be a high point for our entire city, and I think this part of the country.
So what do you see in regards to the goals that Sadiqa has laid out in conjunction with the Urban League and what it means for the city? Do you see it marking on time? Because I know you're privy to some of the meetings.
Well, what's important in today's America is that everybody feels like they're along for the ride. And our economy right now works really well for people at the top 20%. So when we hear the economy is doing great, not a lot of people feel like it's doing great for them. So the work that the Urban League does in terms of skill building and making sure everybody has access is extremely important for the entire city.
Seem to be pulling in beautiful ladies at the galas, but here are some very dapper young men here, and you are?
Eric Brown.
And you?
Mike Williams.
And you're
from Fort Knobs, Indiana. I am from Cincinnati, Ohio.
So what brought you all in for the Louisville Urban League Gala?
Well, I am the project manager for the Urban League's new indoor track facility. So we're building something in the West End that we're really excited about, something that's going to just change that community. And I'm proud to say that this Mike is with a firm called Calhoun Construction, and they're going to build a facility in the West End. Yeah, so we're looking really forward to it, and looking for a great project with Eric and his team.
You know how amazing that is when you hear about something on the news about an initiative and project that's going on, but to see who's really behind it is so great. So this would be the first gala, though, that you all have attended?
Yes, this is. I've attended other Urban League galas, but it's my first gala in Louisville. And this is a Sadiqo event. I mean, it is a beautiful event, beautiful people having a wonderful time, professional people doing our thing tonight. It's just going to be great.
You know, my hat goes off to Sadiqa. She is doing some great things,
Yes.
and it was just a phenomenal event.
And the thing about it is it was so inclusive of those in attendance for the Urban League. A good fundraiser, raised a lot of good money and to
Yes.
help a lot of the initiatives. And then Babyface's performance
Right.
was outstanding. He came back for encore. That night was stellar.
It was. It was a great way to start Derby Week. We'll take another break and back with more right after this.
We're more than an energy company.
We are mothers,
Fathers,
neighbors, and friends.
Working hard when the weather is good.
and even harder when it's not.
with online updates to keep you safe and informed during the storm.
Programs to save you energy and money.
And new projects to help us provide cleaner, more reliable energy.
We're more than an energy company.
We are LG&E.
We're LG&E.
We are LG&E.
Our energies go to serving you.
Well, 100 Black Men, 28 years, still going strong,
Yes.
and had another Derby event, and it was at C2, so take a look at this.
So, like any organization, you have to have someone at the helm of leadership. Here are two young gentlemen who have a lot to do with the 100. So first I want to introduce you to the Louisville chapter locally, the president, Mr. Reggie Gresham. Reggie, congratulations, happy Derby.
Yeah, happy Derby Day. It's good to see you again. Absolutely.
I like, and this is Mr. Tommy Dortch, who's on the national leadership of presidency.
Big guns.
Hey, look, I'm here to hang with my brothers.
Listening to you all up there, and I've interviewed some people out here who are in attendance. One thing that stood out to me was the motto, what they see is what they'll be. And there are some people who commented on that. But share a little bit about that for those who are watching that don't really know about what they see is what they'll be.
In 1994 was my first full year as a new national chair of 100. And what we wanted to do was to brand the organization. So we had national efforts from Nike and others who worked with us to come up with a theme. And so they said, well, what is the trademark for this organization? I said, positive images for young people in our community. And we did some imaging groups and all, and we came up with the fact that what they see is what they really will be, what worked for us. Who did we emulate? In my early days, we didn't have all these multi-millionaires and billionaires in my little community, but we had hard-working men who made a difference and hard-working women, and we wanted to be like them. And we want our young people to want to model us, and we want to be prime examples for them.
I like the unselfishness that you all reach out, and I know you all have a real good, robust, I guess I could say program here. Just share a little bit about those who weren't here to hear about what the Louisville chapter does.
One of our biggest ones is Pathways to Success. Wells Fargo is one of our major sponsors for that. And helping kids just basically get from high school to college or even become entrepreneurs, helping with business plans and situations like that. That's definitely what we do. So, yeah.
Are there any other initiatives that you think the Louisville chapter will take under its wings?
I think the next one is going to be Black Boys Read Out Loud. One of the big things is that our young men have a self-image to where they don't speak loud enough. So now we're going through a process of having them read a book out loud in front of our group. So speaking out loud helps them out a lot. We're going to take that initiative on.
Okay, there's a phenomenal group that's going to perform tonight, as well as one of the hosts. This is Mr. Joe Torre. And Joe, happy Derby, and it's good talking to you again on the camera versus last night.
On the camera side. We're on the camera side right now. My first real Derby experience, and I'm having a good time. Waiting
That's right, 'cause you did say that you've been to Louisville before, but first Derby.
for my first Derby.
So what are your thoughts so far?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I never knew how much black excellence is not being shown around the world. I'm like, this is great.
So have you gone to the track?
No, I couldn't get near the track, so.
You don't want to make any donations to leave here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky?
Well, this is my first Derby, so I'll take the experience in little by little. I see where the business is going on, and then all the things that I'm being heard about from Urban League to 100 Black Men, the reason why I'm here, and what they're doing in the community. Now I didn't know that the horses are just the lure, but the minds, the beautiful minds, and the people that you get gathered because of all this. To me, it's really been exciting. It's worth more than just betting on a horse.
I've heard a lot of compliments about you last night, with you being a celebrity and all. How approachable you are, how genuine you are, and you're very accommodating.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I think it's a high compliment because I interview a lot of celebrities come in, and I have to take my hat off to you for that.
Oh, well, thank you for those kind words. Appreciate that.
So when you go back home and they say you went to the Kentucky Derby, what would be some comments you'll say or adjectives that you'll say about your experience?
Oh man, my first one would be enlightening, very enlightening.
Well, we're backstage with the 100 Black Men for the annual Derby Gala, and I'm here with three exciting, I'm going to say young men, and this group is called After Seven, and they're from right up the road in Indianapolis. Exactly. And we're here in Louisville, Kentucky. First of all, thanks for coming out and putting on this great show tonight that we know we can expect for 100 Black Men. So I'm going to start, let each one of you say who you are.
Okay, I'm Kevon Edmonds.
I'm Jason Edmonds.
And I'm Keith Mitchell.
All right. Well, first of all, you all have a long history as it relates to music. How did you get started, and what keeps you going?
Wow. Well, we've had a love for music for quite some time. We grew up singing in the household, in the Edmonds household over on 1941 West Riviera Drive. Okay. And we've just, I think it starts there at home. It started way back when, and that love has never left our hearts. So.
How'd you come up with the name After Seven?
Well, I'm not the right person to answer that question. I'm the son of the original member, Melvin. So.
Actually, Mr. Babyface Edmonds had a lot to do with coming up with that name, and I think it was brought to him in a message, like on an answering machine, and the thought of After Seven kind of clicked, and it kind of represents the style and the class of the music and the performance of After Seven, and it became a real, magical name for us.
So, when someone comes out to see an After Seven show, what do you want them to take away?
That love and romance and all those wonderful things that go along with love still are important today, just as important as it was back when we were growing up and we used to hear some of these groups like the OJs, the Temptations, who really kind of laid the groundwork for us in terms of what we believe was just great R&B music. And so we try to emulate as much as we can that good sound of classic soul.
And the music scene has definitely changed over the years. So how do you all keep yourself relevant? And what's some advice that you have for some of the next groups that are coming behind you all that would like to be After Seven at some point in time? And I'll ask both of you that, and I'll start with you.
I can answer that. In today's times, it's a misconception that things can happen overnight. You can release songs from home. I can do a song on my phone right now and release it. But the problem is that there's no development. Back in the 90s and before that, you used to have what was called a development deal before you got signed. Sure. And you would be put through various different courses where you would not only get to know who you are as a musician, but even as a person. And so artists today don't really have that opportunity because development deals are gone. And so I would say to those people, take your time. Okay. Just keep practicing, stay in the lab. Release music, because that is the trend today. You have to keep releasing music, but don't expect a return right away. And remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint.
All right. Anything you want to add?
In reference to relevance, I think that goes back to the music that you decide to sing. And for After Seven, we've basically tried to stay in the lane that was kind of paved for us through the success of Mr. Daryl Simmons and Babyface LA. They have been the lead writers on all of our projects and the impotence behind the success of After Seven as far as lyrical and music. And so we pour
hearts into it, and in doing so, I think the fans fall in love with our interpretation of those lyrics and those songs, and it automatically keeps us relevant because we're talking about love and relationships.
This show is like that show. Come on, you say, I'm thinking on you, you're thinking on me, we're thinking on me, girl. Oh, it's like this show, it's like that show. Come on, you say, I'm thinking on you, you're thinking on me.
You know, it was really great having an opportunity to talk to Joe Torre and After 7. They were just very personable.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just a great time, another great Derby event.
It was a good performance. Everyone were in their seats and they were watching. And the interview with After 7 they're remarkable.
Yeah,
that was
great,
the
yeah.
evening. Another one like the Urban A Party with a Purpose.
You are correct.
And it was great.
That's right.
The mentorship, it was great.
You're right. We'll take another break and back with more right after this.
Guyana's #1 station for R&B. Magic 101.3. Me that green light. With your permission. We're live, local, and Louisville. Magic 101.3, the home of Steve Harvey and Morning Show. We are.
Well, of course, you know, one of our partners is State Farm Insurance with Ivy Bridow. So, Ivy, what do you have for us this week?
Hi, I'm Ivy Bridow with State Farm Insurance. Today we're going to talk about some financial principles that will help you and your family get on your way to better money management. We're going to talk about 3 key areas: setting goals, developing a budget, and managing your debt. The first step is setting your goals. That's going to help you lay the groundwork for how you spend your money. Make sure you have some short-term goals and some long-term goals in your plan. Once you've set your goals, now it's time to start building your budget. That involves writing down all of your monthly expenses. Some of these expenses are going to be fixed and the same every month, others are going to vary. Once you've got your expenses down, subtract that from your monthly income, and that will tell you how much money you have left over at the end of the month. Lastly, managing your debt is the key to financial peace of mind. Mortgages and car loans are larger expenses, so naturally they will incur some debt, but credit card debt can get out of hand if you don't limit those expenses. There are a lot of resources out there for you to build your financial knowledge and sharpen your skills. And of course, you can always meet with your agent for more information. Max and Denise, back to you.
Thanks, Ivy, for some more great information. Yes. And one of our other partners that we want to talk about is LG&E, so take a look at this. Well, as you can tell, the season is transitioning into summer, and we're here with LG&E, of course, Natasha Collins, for another Energy Matters segment, and we are out here looking at things that we have to do to get ready for the spring-summer season. So, welcome back.
Thank you very much. I was going to say, that's right. We're talking tips today.
You are correct. Yeah. And if I had listened to you, I would have taken a tip, as you said, and put on some clothes so I could have helped you work out. But I think this is going to do just fine.
We're going to be all right. So we're out here next to the air conditioning system. Mm-hmm. Let's start by talking about that. And before we get hands-on, we're going to talk about getting a routine maintenance inspection. Okay. So make sure that you have a professional come out. It's great. You know, anytime works, but before the season is great because if you don't need anything, then that's super. But if you need something, you know that the maintenance has been done, you know that it's ready for the season and it's not going to conk out on you when the heat kicks in.
Right, and this is one of the things that we should do at the beginning of every season, not only summer, but as we transition from season to season.
Absolutely. You need to have at least at the summer, and then maybe as you get ready to approach the fall, make sure that you have that inspection at least once a year.
All right, so what's tip number 1?
All right, well that was tip number 1.
Okay, tip number 2.
Tip number 2, and I'm putting on my gloves here, Max.
Right.
But what we're going to do is make sure that we're keeping the air conditioning system outside, clear of any dirt, any debris, any kind of plants that might just be kind of growing a little too close to it.
Correct.
So we're just going to take some of our clippers here, and I'm going to trim those around, and then we're going to spray down the coils because that's going to help the airflow. So we'll do a little of that right now.
And we would really be surprised that over the course of the winter, the amount of dirt and dust that accumulates in the air conditioning system.
Yeah, you know, I mean, all of that makes the system potentially not operate as efficiently because it's in the coils, and you just want to make sure that there's clear airflow. So that's what we've done, trimmed away some of the greenery. And once we've done that, we talked about hosing down the coils. So, you know, it doesn't take a whole lot, but just making sure that you hose it down.
And the one thing about this is something you don't have to bring in a professional for. This is something that you can just do yourself at home.
Yep, it was as easy as that. Just took a few minutes. So as you're doing some of your spring and summer gardening or other things you have to do outside in your yard, it's great to go ahead and just get it done.
And the next tip.
All right. Well, we're going to transition over next to you.
Okay.
Over right here near our grill. We'll talk about the grill in a second. But we're going
Excellent.
to talk about some of these other things first. And since this is the largest, let's talk about this filter. So since we were talking about getting your routine maintenance inspection, your professional may or may not cue you to make sure that you are changing out your filter. So we recommend, according to the manufacturer's instructions, or if you don't know that, since a lot of people don't, we recommend monthly. But just make sure you're keeping a clean filter in there. If you can buy more than one at a time, I recommend just keeping them by your system, and then when you put one in, date it. So the next time you check and you don't remember when you put one in last, you know how long it's been, and you can just switch it out. The new ones are right there, and it's as easy as that.
And as you said, it helps you to build a system if you're dating them, so that way you'll know. And you can tell when they're used because you'll see the dirt and the dust in them, and the color will change from a brilliant white to a dingier color.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've got some other things here. This is one of them. It is a Wi-Fi thermostat. So really we're talking about thermostats in general. So if you can spare a few degrees and still stay comfortable in your home, try to do that. I mean, think about how the air conditioning system works. It's pulling in that air, which is warmer in the summer, making sure that it's cool enough to meet what you have your thermostat set at, and then pushing that cool air throughout your home. So the greater the difference between what you have your thermostat set at in the house and what the heat is outside, then your system is constantly working hard to make sure that that air is cool and that your home stays at that cool temperature. So if you can spare a few degrees, it's going to make sure that, you don't end up paying as much out of your pocketbook. Yeah, and this Wi-Fi thermostat, a lot of people have these days. You can also just be thinking about how you use energy in your home. If there's nobody home, maybe you don't have to have it set down as cool, but they allow you to be able to control those from your mobile device. So it's easy breezy, and you can make sure that it's what you want it set at when you get home.
Right. So the Wi-Fi is, again, another part of that smart technology that everybody's going to.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing this, but it doesn't matter whether it's a regular one that you have to move with a dial, just a programmable one, or Wi-Fi. Just think about how you use energy in your home and what you're going to set that thermostat at to stay comfortable.
And something else you have is the caulking?
Yeah, a few of these other items are really just, the weatherization items. And we talk about these pretty often, but usually it's in the winter, right? As we head towards the cool temperatures. But weatherization is not something that is only for the winter. Weatherization is year-round, because if you have leaks and gaps in what we call the envelope of your home, around the doors, around the windows, potentially in your ductwork, then those are going to make your system operate less efficiently. So make sure that you're using the tools to make sure that any leaks or gaps around your home are sealed up. That way the cool air that you're paying for stays inside, and the heat can stay where it belongs outside.
And the good thing about using this is something, once you put it in place, it's pretty much there. You might want to go back different times to maybe just check it, because the house breathes and changes over the years.
Exactly. If you're using tape and plastic, for instance, you could freshen up the tape, make sure that it's going to stay on. But, if you don't touch it, it could stay there year round.
Correct. So what else should we know?
Well, I think the main thing is just, think about how can you be energy efficient as we approach the warm temperatures. We have the grill here. We're not going to grill anything today. No
that
steak.
Was a part of the steal.
No,
That's what you told me when we were coming out.
No shish kebabs, but the idea is that, if you're grilling outside, that's another way to save energy. It's fun because you can be outside with your friends or your family and using your patio if you have one, but then you're not turning on your oven. It's a large appliance. It uses a lot of energy. So thinking about, hey, I don't have to use my oven, or if I do use an appliance inside, maybe it's one of the smaller ones that doesn't draw as much energy, like a microwave or a toaster oven or something like that.
Well, Denise, I had the opportunity to talk to Maxine Waters, and to me, that was one of the best interviews I've ever done, just because of who she is, what she stands for, and just her history. So just take a look at this piece. Well, it's Derby time, and you never know who's going to grace our city. I'm here with Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Welcome back to Louisville, Kentucky, because I know you're a good friend of Charlie Johnson.
Absolutely. Charlie Johnson is a very dear friend. He and my husband played football together. So they've been knowing each other for years. And, of course, we've been here a couple of times before, and we are so excited. This is the first time we've been here for the horse races, and so here we are.
All right. Do you have any horses that you're planning to bet on?
I don't know anything about these horses running, but I'm going to learn today.
Okay, well, that's great. And Derby's always a fun time.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I had an opportunity to get on the internet and watch the fashions and listen to, what goes on here, and it's an exciting time.
It really is. The city gets an opportunity to put its best foot forward.
It does, and just coming into the airport, the welcoming, the statue of that beautiful horse that's there, and your heart starts to pump a little bit, Right. Yes.
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, with all the things that are happening in D.C. today, what's going on. You had 15 terms in Congress.
That's right.
You've been president of the Congressional Black Caucus.
That's right.
You're one of 12 women, African American, in Congress.
Yes.
But you've never experienced anything like you're experiencing today.
Oh my goodness. Well, there have been a lot of experiences in Congress, and they're varied, and each one has its own significance, All right, so this has its own significance.
So, in terms of the African American perspective, and of course our president is Donald Trump, what is that one key thing you want African Americans to take away from what we're going through and his approach to governance?
Well, I want African Americans to know that we have a president that if we don't fight and resist, will take us back. This is a president who is divisive. He has shown that he is prepared to do whatever it takes to enhance himself, his family, and he has lied consistently. As a matter of fact, it has been documented now probably about 10,000 lies in the time that he has served. And so African Americans must understand, and particularly our young people who did not have the experiences of racism in the way that some of us had it, the older people who understand very well what was going on back in that time, in that day. And we're watching as this president could take us back in the way that he, views voting, in the way that he views our countries outside of the United States. He's referred to them in very derogatory terms, on and on and on. So we want people to be registered. We want people to get out and vote. We want our millennials in particular to use their potential, their numbers, to help us elect someone who cares about the whole country and not just about himself.
Maxine Waters, Congresswoman Waters, is a very personable person.
She is.
And she's in for the fight, for the long haul.
It was a delight to meet her afterwards, and she is gracious, she's accommodating, and she's just an excellent person.
Yeah, she was. And I learned a lot. And she's got a big heart, great spirit, and just thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that's our show.
Oh, and that's our time.
And we'll see you back here next time on Urban Lifestyles.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mm.